Thank you, Chairman Stile and Chairman Johnson, for holding this hearing today, and thank you to all the witnesses for your time and insight and sacrifices to be here. I must say I'm struck by what happened here today. Our Democrat colleagues have made serious allegations about the president's misuse of cryptocurrency, and their solution seems to be sabotaging a hearing dedicated to establishing a framework to prevent abuses in cryptocurrency. If they believe President Trump is wrongly benefiting through malfeasance, surely it would be their duty to do all they can to advance a regulatory framework so that it doesn't happen again. Apparently, it's not that urgent. I've lived in rural southern Ohio my entire life. When I decided to run for office, I did so primarily because I wanted to help enact policies that would spur economic growth across the country, and particularly in the communities I represent. As a small business owner, I ran into several regulatory and bureaucratic hurdles that impeded growth due to, in my opinion, overregulation. Mr. Miller, in your testimony, you mentioned how in Hero's case, efforts to comply with unclear digital asset regulations ended up being extremely time-consuming and costly. Can you tell us where your resources and time might have been directed had those hurdles not been in the way?
Yes, thank you for the question, Congressman. You know, fundamentally, we are a developer tools company, right? We build the infrastructure and the tooling that builders need in order to go build this next generation of technology and applications. And so every dollar of ours, every hour of ours that got spent on sitting in rooms with lawyers and trying to guess at what the law might be or what it might become one day was just one more minute we couldn't spend trying to enable folks to build.
Gotcha. Mr. Rathmel, the United States has long been a pioneer in innovation and entrepreneurship. In order to continue to be a leader in this place, we need to create an environment that is both an attractive place for startups and one that encourages our best and brightest to take risks. Without a clear framework, it sounds like the U.S. is in danger of falling behind the rest of the world. Can you speak more about how you think entrepreneurs and innovators will respond if the United States continues without a regulatory framework?
Thank you, Congressman. It's a great question. My primary concern would be that we have already seen a plight from the United States as the premier market in innovation, and that without correcting course, that we would see further flight.
Can you tell me a little bit about what other countries have done with their regulatory framework that encourages innovation in the digital asset industries?
We've seen in the EU, and we've seen in the UK, and we've seen in other jurisdictions that they've moved quickly with a unifying framework that is workable, that works for token launches, addresses consumer protection, addresses market integrity, and it's the inaction, I think, in the United States that has caused so much trouble.
Thank you. Any framework that we put into place for digital assets will likely require the cooperation of the SEC and the CFTC, as we discussed a few moments ago. Mr. Davis, what are some examples where the SEC and CFTC have had to work together, and what lessons can we learn from those experiences to apply to market structure legislation in the digital asset space?
An excellent example is security futures. That was a new product that came online a couple of decades ago. And it wasn't clear from statutory text on which side the line was. In that circumstance, the then two chairmen of the respective agencies got together and hammered out a mostly quantitative process for determining when a future was just a future and subject to CFTC jurisdiction, and when something should be considered a security future and subject to both agencies' jurisdiction. That was the Shad-Johnson Accords. That was presented to Congress, and Congress implemented that. I think that's a great example of success of the agencies working together to come up with, a clear, and there's still debates about, some aspects of that test, but a lot of that test is, it's very clear one way or the other whether you're meeting one of the standards or not. And so the agencies have certainly shown that. I think you've also seen that early on after Dodd-Frank. Both agencies had to do a lot of joint rulemakings in a very short period of time. I was not there at the agency at the time. I'm told it was an incredibly busy period, and there was a lot of work with the SEC. So the agencies have definitely demonstrated the ability to work collaboratively together. It helps when you get good marching orders from Congress.
Thank you, and thank you to all of you. Chairman, I yield back.